Hey, Miss Beth, Miss Luther, or should I say Mrs. Luther? Um, well, we have 5 participants. I'm missing a couple.
Yeah.
I need to go to the other one and promote them. That's the only thing. I wish I could be a co-host and do it from my computer.
Is Colorado Mountain Lady Mary Beer now?
It could be Ash and Shalom.
I think that's Anshel. Anshel comes under the name of Anshel. I think.
Sorry, sighed for the all. Didn't realize I wasn't on mute. Gotta leave myself unmuted in case somebody else shows up.
Hey, Kent.
Hey, Rob.
I was just gonna say I put my return phone number out there on food trucks. Called a lot of people. Got absolutely no response whatsoever.
Sure.
My I apologize. I thought maybe I could get at least one guy interested, but to no avail.
Well, Christmas market's got one additional.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Dave Bauer, who used to
Well,
run the Ram or work at the Ram or something.
Right?
he owned the Ram. Yeah.
He ran the Ram, and then he had the he had the Mexican restaurant up there, but it was an Irish pub or something like that. What was it? What?
Yeah, yeah.
Irish Mexican, huh? Cool.
But he did Keys on the Green for a while.
Keys on the
too.
Green, right? He's a longtime restaurateur.
Okay.
Cool. I'm glad something came out of it. I mean, I tried. It seemed like if I didn't make an effort, you'd get more food trucks.
Sure.
Sure.
No, I'm just kidding. I just saw Kevin's name pop up in the attendees, so I gotta go get him.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
Hey Brady, glad you can make it. Or Daniel. Or whoever's on the connection there. Good evening, Steve. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry I missed last month.
it's all right. They just voted to have you chair for the next 5 years, so.
Of course.
Can you hear me?
What?
Yes. Okay. Bingo.
B14. No, just kidding.
Kevin, you shaved your head.
Oh, he's on mute.
You're on mute, Kevin. We can't hear you. But you don't get to participate in these all the time, so you don't recognize it right away.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
I always shave my head.
You wanna
Is
do
that better?
speaker? Yeah.
Look at that. Our VP showed up.
Almost. It's still connecting.
Battery high.
What do you think? We ready?
Let's go ahead and go.
Okay. All right, Parks and Recreation Commission, Town of Georgetown. Regular scheduled meeting, Thursday, November 5th, 2020, 6 p.m. Virtual meeting due to COVID-19. Notice and agenda for regular meeting. This meeting is by conference call only. The town will not be open to the public for this meeting. The Parks and Recreation Commission will attend the meeting electronically as permitted by the Open Meetings Law. Meetings can be watched live via www.townofgeorgetown.us. Go to government, then recordings of the meetings. If you'd like to leave a comment, please call 303-569-2555, extension 2, or email townclerk@townofgeorgetown.us. I'm going to pass all the click the link. Agenda. Call to order. Roll call. Chairman Steve Calabani here. Vice Chairman Tom Paxton.
Here, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Here.
Beth Luther.
Here.
Daniel. Brady. I know Brady's there.
There he is.
Anshel. Rob.
Here.
And Mary.
Here.
Agenda approval.
I'll move to approve the agenda of Thursday, November 5th as presented.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda approved. Minutes approval.
I'll move to approve the meeting minutes of September 3rd, 2020 as presented.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Aye.
Audience business. Members of the audience will have 5 minutes to present any matter of concern to the commission. No
Wait.
official action may be taken at this time. Those
We have-
viewing on television may phone in comments to 303-569-2555, extension 7.
I'm gonna make another motion. Sorry, Steve.
Fine?
I motion to approve the meeting minutes of October 1st, 2020 as presented.
You had 2 sets of minutes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Can you hear me? Aye. Yeah.
Minutes of October 1st, 2020 approved, and September 3rd, 2020. Okay, old new business. Parks Tech report. Kevin.
Things are going as usual. I started replacing some of the timbers that are going around the lake parking lots that were
Nice.
broke. And then I got Kent to order the liner for the skating rink. And one thing I wanted to bring up on the skating rink was, can we turn it the other way so it's more level? I brought it up to Ken's attention. He wasn't real sure if it would fit that way, but if that would be something, I think it would help the rink out a lot.
Will it fit if we turn it?
It'll fit.
It'll fit. It's just how much room's left for the
Or if we
dogs.
take over the dog park, which would be
Yeah.
tough.
I don't think it'll take up that much more though. I mean,
What's the size of it? What's the size of it now?
100 by 60.
So another 40 feet.
You'd
Yep.
have-
Does that leave us room to get to the gates to get our dogs in and out?
Yeah, it'll go right up the gate. Up to the
Oh,
small.
okay.
Yep. If we put the fence straight across, that way it's more level.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
We could try it this
Whatever
year.
you need to do.
well, we just set it up long ways the other way. We'll set it up was that north and south?
Right.
We'll set up that.
Let's try it this year.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we can fit it in there. I walked in. I'll take a good measurement of it on my next
Okay.
day to make sure. But I think it'll work, and I think it would be a lot more level.
Whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
How much room did we have between the south edge of the ice rink and the fence where the shed is now?
Maybe
We-
like 5 or 6 feet.
No, we
Right.
had a little bit more than that, didn't we?
Mm,
It's
No.
pretty close.
There's
Okay.
maybe 10 feet well, on both sides of it before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you gonna put it north, south, more toward the fence that is on Griffith Street? So that maybe the bigger fence that you have can kind of be around it a little bit more to give access to the 2 gates on the Taos side for the dogs, and then the 1 gate on the other side for the rink.
Well, I was thinking about running along house because it's flat down there. Up on the Griffith side that's where the slope is.
How far away would you stay from the fence, you think?
At least 10 feet.
So you can still get in and out?
I think
Right.
I think you'll be able to turn it and still have access to the double gate entrance on Taos.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. No, sounds good.
Look at that week on Monday.
Well,
That-
you know what you could always do? You could spray paint it or flag it, and then that way we can all go by and check it out and take a look.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. Let's do that.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then just around the lake, I've been remembering just the timbers around the lake. That there's at least 15 of them broken. So I started repairing those yesterday. I got 5 of those done.
Wow.
I was go down to each park, each one.
Like
And
the timbers as parking stops?
No, they put the timbers in the ground and they ran that cable through them.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
More
Okay.
broke. So I'm just kind of repairing them, putting new ones in, just the ones that are broke.
Okay.
And that's about it.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank
Yep,
you
thanks.
for all your work. You're a superstar.
Looks like you did 1 path already around the lake when it snowed.
Yeah, I went around it once. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Kent, Strauss Park construction documents. Any update on those?
Well, I had in your packet, there was a little email. I'm continuing to talk with Kyle
Okay.
regarding it. And they're talking about the gas main is shared for the gas lights in Strauss Park is shared with Nisel and Anderson. I guess Nisel and
Oh.
Anderson's been paying our gas for a while. Probably not the right thing to do.
I know.
So in the plans, they do add a separate connection for us
Okay.
because they're changing their connection anyway. And in order to do that, they move the restroom away from the back of Nisel and Anderson a little bit. I don't know
Okay.
if you see that within your packet. It goes, the red
Yep.
lines show it move, I don't know, 10 feet or so.
Mhm.
And then talk a little bit about drainage. So we need we is Kyle and I are trying to figure out a solution regarding the drainage, that's associated with that. Because we don't
Okay.
want to drain it into Nisel and Anderson. It needs to get to the street. So just complications, just letting you know. And then possibly having a drainage chase and maybe a metal cover over the chase, either through the park or especially through the flagstone sidewalk area in order to get to the
Okay.
curb on the street. But
Looks good.
just letting you know that they're working on their construction plans. This is an expensive project as far as Strauss Park goes. I mean, it's going to be several $100,000. I'm hoping once we have a real good discussion with them to have it between 300 and 500, but that's with the parking lot. So but the restrooms and the booths and everything, the landscaping, and then, that fire pit to have both gas and wood, which I'm glad you guys agreed with and wanted to have it happen. The fire ban that's on now, and we'll have a discussion later in the meeting. I mean, it's becoming more and more important to have
The gas.
alternative. Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
because I think this is going to happen more and more often. So,
Okay.
because I've had my staff tell me 10, 20 years ago, the fire ban didn't hardly happen. And it seems like now, as soon as it gets a little bit dry, we start with the fire ban.
Yeah.
So, it's just becoming commonplace, and it's a tool that's easy to use and an easy preventive measure. So that's why it keeps getting used, because we don't want what happened up at East Troublesome Gulch or
Yeah. That was a
Cameron
mess.
Park fire coming down here. And it very well could. So,
Yep. No, it looks good.
Thank you for all your work on that, Kent. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
yeah. Once we get to a certain point, we'll need to go over it with you one more time. So,
Okay. All right. Let's do Mark, Parks Past Master Plan update.
Great, thanks, Steve. So Ken and I have been talking a lot the last few weeks, trying to work through a few things. Since we last met, we reviewed the master plans for each of the park sites. We've updated the plan accordingly. We've been starting to develop cost estimates. I haven't shown those to Kent yet, but we're starting to develop cost estimates that are associated with all the features. And the pricing starts to get high, but I think there's some ways to pull out individual projects from all these and start developing a capital improvement plan. And so Ken and I have been talking about the 1 cent sales tax, how much we realistically think is available from that money every year, and what kind of projects can that support. We've been talking a little bit about grants that are out there, but we don't want to, and Beth, you know this, we don't want to count on the grants until they're applied for and won, because otherwise I think it's doing the town a disservice. But knowing that we can leverage a lot of these sales tax dollars with grants out there, whether it's Great Outdoors Colorado, the Land and Water Conservation Fund through state trails or others. And I don't even know if the federal for the Great American Outdoors Act are available for local use or not, but I think they are, and we can do a little more research on that. But there's opportunities to leverage those funds for a much greater capital improvement plan. So right now, Ken and I have been talking about priorities, like a 10-year horizon on a capital improvement plan, and what does that look like, and what are some projects that we can break out from that. I know our first 2 years we've been talking about our Strauss Park with possibly the booths, the bathroom as a second phase. Both of those, depending on, I guess, Ken, the final designs and where those budgets come in, we're just plugging the numbers straight in from Kyle on those. And they're higher than the 1 cent sales tax right now. So we'll have to look at ways to offset those costs for that plan. And there's some other features like the skate park at Meadows is one of the priorities that we're looking at. And right now, a lot of skate park designers, when you talk to them, they estimate about $45 a square foot, but that's for cast in place concrete. And we're looking at like Great American Ramp Company for above ground, but we're also talking about a concrete bowl, drop-in bowl. So there'll be some kind of a hybrid between that. So even if we said $30 to $35 a square foot, that's putting us at around a $200,000 range. Beth, did you ever get any estimates from them at one point when the town reached out to Great American Ramp or Kent? Do you know?
I think it was below 300,000 for sure, because we'd known that we could possibly get that kind of grant money, but not much more than that. So I know it was We
Yeah.
told them no greater than 300,000.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if there was like an actual total or not.
Mark, I'll email you whatever I have.
Great, thank you. I know that the 300 gets you right at that $45 a square foot range, which is pretty standard for cast in place skate parks. So we may be able to get that down some for kind of a planning budget.
Okay.
And then we looked at some other plan improvements like the bathroom at City Park. Right now, I think the budgets coming in for Strauss Park are about after contingency and whatnot, right around about 150. Okay, I believe. So that's kind of our general budgeting number we're using at this point for any of the plumbed bathrooms.
What
and then there's a few
about,
others.
What about basic connectivity of trails around the lake and the lagoon and those things?
Right. So the estimates have all those in them, and depends on the length and the really the square foot number, Brady, on how much trail we're looking at. But I've got those all wrapped into the estimate, and I broke a few of them out, like the Georgetown Lake Loop, the Greenway Park Loop trail system as
I saw
special
that.
projects, and that it's funding, or if we can get volunteer labor to install and donations of materials, that helps out with the cost. So I'm assuming, worst case is you pay a contractor to build it. But if we can offset those costs, I think we definitely want to note that in the master plan, that this is an opportunity that should be considered as a general recommendation.
Great.
One
Yeah,
of
quite a
the
few trails.
one of the things that Mark and I talked about was we got the big projects, but then how can we accomplish certain small projects along the way so that we can tell people, because I'm starting to get those remarks every once in a while, which I kind of, it's hard to hear saying, well, what's been done with the park sales tax? And it's like, well, a lot of planning so far, but we got to have a plan before we can really move forward. But there might be some small trail connections, Brady, that would really get done. It doesn't necessarily have to be with contract labor. And one of them I was thinking of, and I mentioned it to Mark, was that connection from the pedestrian bridge to the Southeast Lagoon area. Kind of that new area there.
Yeah.
And that trail would be awful nice to put in, because then we could get people off private property, because they tend to walk through Wolverine Court there, where it doesn't look like a street, but it's actually a street and more houses than the two that are there. And then keep people off their yards as well. If you would actually have a trail. It doesn't guarantee it. I mean, some people will still walk wherever the flip they want, but but little things like that, little trail connections as we go along. And I asked Mark to identify the major projects we want to get done, to highlight that, but then some different things along the way that could be smaller projects, or that could be done in a year while we're doing the big project, maybe. If we can convince the board, to convince Rob and the other board members that that's what we want to do. So.
Right. So I'm just looking for the draft of the capital improvement plan that we talked about, but essentially we have identified big projects on a 10-year horizon with estimated budgets and assumed revenues from the 1 cent sales tax. And then if there's a gap, then there's going to be, we'll have to look at leveraging other grant opportunities or funds. But then listing a series of smaller projects that can be kind of bid off as funding becomes available kind of throughout the duration.
Well, and I don't want to steal your thunder, Mark, but did you talk as one of the projects, and Brady led into it regarding the Georgetown Lake stuff, but something that we might want to accomplish earlier than later at the Georgetown Lake as far as the parking plan.
Right, right. So I'm gonna share my screen if I can. I got it remoted into my office computer, but I think I can. Can you see the master plan document?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just a draft and something I was working on with Kent earlier this week and last week, but you can see on the top kind of a 10-year plan looking at Strauss Park as the first priorities, and then the parking for the lake south and north with the way those numbers were coming in, and then looking at Meadows Park, skate park, the city park bathroom, the playground, the stairs, picnic area at Meadows. Then looking at the lake playground, the southeast lagoon, Greenway Park, and then phase 3 for Strauss Park. The reason why some of these numbers are a little bit higher is we talked about using those automated parking kiosks. And
yeah.
those, I just priced those for the town of Lyons last year, and they were coming in about $14,000 each.
Wow.
And they've got data capability, cell technology built in, so it automatically can communicate and coordinate with the town through emails or online websites or whatnot to track a lot of those parking information. And then with the parking improvements, we assume some regrading and gravel work with the curb stops and the survey whiskers to delineate the edges of the parking. We assumed concrete ADA parking areas, some bollards, some things like that. And that's all on the detailed estimates where those kind of budgets came from.
But the good thing about the parking is it would generate revenue.
Right.
Yeah. Agreed.
And then it could up our, it may eventually have, so it could contribute to the other projects,
Right.
completion of the other projects as we go along. And that's why skate park is absolutely a priority. It's just, okay, but with the lake parking, it could generate revenue that would help us accomplish more stuff during the 10-year sales tax. And we'll probably
Yeah.
end up at a place where we'll have to ask to renew the sales tax.
Mhm.
Just because with this master plan, we're going to be going more than 10 years, but we're going to try to get as much done as we can in the 10 years. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Kent, do we have a copy of this draft?
I don't think so.
No,
Okay.
this is fresh off the press. I just printed it to PDF
I haven't
late this
received it
afternoon.
Okay.
We've
Yeah.
just talked about it, but it's
Yeah.
I can there's a few small things, Beth, I want to adjust on the formatting here, and then I can send out a draft
Okay. Great. That would be
through
awesome.
Kent. Yeah, because I definitely want to have everyone review in detail, make sure I'm on the right page with things, and if you have any questions or if we need to address anything that's missing.
Okay. That would be
One
great.
thing is I need to drop in here still is this Excel spreadsheet. This is another document that Kent and I have been working through with Kevin that looks at a detailed operating expenses, revenues, cost for the park system. And we broke it down into all the parks. And this is just a summary that you see here. There's a lot of detail in this spreadsheet we'll put in the report, but it's got itemized expenses, itemized revenues, staff, part-time staff, revenue detail. And when we start looking at revenue detail, which is one thing I want to highlight is when Kent talks about the parking is we looked at spring, summer, and fall season and winter months, assuming half occupancy, and some rates based on the number of parking stalls.
It's at the other end of the spreadsheet, but yeah.
Yeah, it's the videos of everybody. I had to keep moving on my way. But you can see, like Pizza Park, we had 10 spaces. If we assumed a rate of $5 per space, 10 spaces, 180 days in the spring, summer, fall, generating $9,000. You know, that wouldn't offset the cost of the parking kiosk for the first 2 years, but then after that, if those kiosks are $14,000, you start seeing the profit from that. What's really eye-opening is when you look at Georgetown Lake with the number of stalls that we're talking about and the number of days for spring, summer, and fall, and then winter, assuming half occupancy, 90 days, we start seeing a potential revenue of $126,000 for parking. That's a big number.
So
that's
even if
assuming
you have,
$5.
go ahead, Mark, sorry.
I was just going to say that's assuming a $5 rate. You can increase it for special events and other things. One thing is we wouldn't have to hire a contracting company for parking enforcement. That would take some of that cost. We assumed, I think, $40,000 per year, Kent.
Yeah, and we need to drill down on that number, but it would be somewhere, 30, 40, 50, 60, somewhere in there. So, but even so, you end up with a net of how much,
Right.
it's under my video.
Oh, that's great.
70 to 80.
Yeah. Excellent.
So this is just a scenario that we ran that we thought was fairly realistic for the lake and Pizza Park. Obviously, numbers will vary every year, but it's a great opportunity to help with the park system, especially for those that are using it from out of town.
Right. That's great. Thank you. This is great. I hope we get a copy of this chart too.
Yes. I've been reviewing it with Kent and Kevin in detail, and we've been kind of populating it. And I got a few numbers this morning, Kent, to make sure all the calculations are working, but if they are now, and when you go to the summary page, just kind of highlights it all.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, and the other part was, oh no, I just lost it. I was just going to ask you a question.
Do we not get revenue on Strauss?
There's hardly any revenue right now.
Right.
Vernon Strauss. So I'm with these, we're trying to be conservative as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think, $5 a day for a parking permit at Georgetown Lake would be that objectionable to people.
Right.
That doesn't mean the rate that's what's decided upon. It's just a conservative estimate,
Right.
Right.
I was just kind of thinking about our permit process for the parks, and when people, rent the parks for, like for Slacker, I pay permit fees to use Strauss Park, and I think that City Park also has, some people that rent a space for weddings or family reunions and stuff like that, and I just wasn't sure if we were accounting for that.
We have it as a line item on here, but we weren't sure that, or we did. I think I stripped it out already, but we had like the lake use permit, the park use permit. We assumed one event at City Park, but.
Right.
Park permits, we average a little less than 1,000 a year.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just over 1,000. So, that's City Park and Strauss.
Right.
But if we ramp up how the events coordinator is using Strauss Park, the vendors that we've had the last few weekends at Strauss Park, it's not going to happen this month, but it happened last month.
Yeah.
Those type of things, if we can use it more often during the year,
right,
it could be more.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, it's really coming together. It's given a good plan and vision to kind of propel the parks forward for the next 10 years. So it's a good document.
Excellent.
Coming together.
And we're looking to present to the Board of Selectmen on the 24th, right? Mark?
Right.
Oh,
the
this
Tuesday of,
report.
This Parks Master Plan, because it hasn't been presented to the Board of Selectmen yet.
So November 24th at 6 or
At
6:30.
6 o'clock, yeah,
Okay.
or shortly thereafter.
I would encourage all of our teammates to attend that meeting or, get on the Zoom and, just show our unity and collaboration on the project. I think it's important for the Board of Selectmen to see our faces and our support of the effort we've been in for the past few months. I think it'll mean a lot to them.
Yep, I agree, Beth.
Well, and this is a draft of the plan. You can have Board of Selectmen input regarding the plan. And then to finish it up and present it for
Yeah.
the park board, recommend for approval, and then the Board of Selectmen approve it, But
Okay.
that's the plan we're going forward with.
Yeah, I'd love to hear any comments that they might have, before we do our final approval. I think that would be really interesting for all of us to kind of digest that information and see if it makes any edits or if we're good to go, stuff like that.
Well, and also for the public to have any comments. I mean, I know this is a public video and people can view it, but once it gets to the Board of Selectmen, it'll be much more widely
Viewed.
seen by the public.
Perfect. That's great.
Do you need anything else, Mark, from everybody or from this board at this time?
no, I don't think so. I'll plan on circulating a draft to you tomorrow, Kent, with these spreadsheets and the draft report, and then we can follow up with everyone on that.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask,
That
Mark, what was the standard you said as far as the National Parks and Recreation Association, as far as number of employees per how many acres of park? that you
Right,
have?
this the Colorado Parks and Recreation Association has noted, and I noted this in the report as well, that they note one staff member per 12 acres is just kind of an average maintenance staff, park staff. And I think the town, Georgetown Lake and all the other parks is right around 27 acres is what I
So-
calculated.
The lake occupies part of it, but still,
Right. That's a
you know,
lot.
even with one full-time member, and Rob's part of the board that's approved so far, or didn't raise an eyebrow to add a seasonal employee to the Parks Department for next year.
Right.
That we have, even with one full-time and one seasonal, that's still an awful lot of stuff to get done as far as maintenance. And
Right.
Mark included that in his report. So I want you guys to, that's one of the things to encourage as far as if you're in conversations with anybody or at the board meeting itself, that we're still, it's hard to keep up with the maintenance and operations of
doubt.
all the parks.
And one thing we note in this spreadsheet that you'll see, Beth, is we spent a lot of time between Kent and Kevin and I talking through the maintenance requirements of each of the park and listing hours of staff time needed every week.
Excellent. Excellent.
And so it comes, you'll see a summary. I think we noted one full-time staff, the seasonal staff was needed at 55 hours per week based on maintaining the current level of service that the parks have with the full park master plan implemented. With everything required. So there's a lot going on.
No
And when
doubt.
we add all the bathrooms online and the new trail systems
Yes.
and the new park space, it adds up quick.
Yeah.
And that's all in the calculation there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
And Kevin, you're still a stud. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Mark.
Thank you.
I left, this was on last month. I left it on, the tree update, since I missed last month's meeting. Any update on trees, Beth? Or no?
I wasn't sure they actually scheduled their dates yet, Kent? Have they set a date when they're coming?
They set a date, but I don't think they came. Did they, Kevin, as far as,
Didn't
Whirling?
show up. No, I think they're supposed to be there on the 23rd. They didn't show up.
okay, that's what I thought.
I'll shoot them an email.
All right, Whirling Park Dog Agility items discussion. That was on last month too. I left it on. Anything more to discuss?
Nope.
There's there's some hesitation by the board members. They're looking at all the projects that are upcoming regarding the, Parks Master Plan that they know is coming.
Okay,
They had a couple serious questions about it. One, they didn't realize this was installed in place. And a couple of the people that frequent the dog park an awful lot, they've talked with a bunch of folks, and they basically did not come back with a positive report for additional stuff like that in the dog park.
okay. Makes sense.
And then they wanted to know where it would be placed.
Mhm.
And I don't have any map of where they would be placed.
Okay,
Right.
So there's just a lot of hesitancy from the board. They asked if, and I talked with Beth briefly about it, as far as having a park board member come in and talk about it with the Board of Selectmen, not just staff to discuss it or to present it.
Right.
So that was the basic direction, and
okay.
I'll leave it at that. Am I saying anything wrong, Rob, as far as what the discussion was at the board?
No, not at all. I was just saying that, it's more, unfortunately, I don't have a dog. I wasn't really impacted, but the one thing that they had a problem with was, or it seemed like they had concerns with, was the obstacle course. How readily people would use that. That was one of the things. But
Right.
you're not talking out of turn at all, Ken. I mean, I thought you described it pretty well. Objections didn't come from me. I'm your friend.
Yeah, whatever. I just had a couple comments about that situation, and I was disappointed, no doubt. I felt like we were appointed to make decisions on the Parks Committee on behalf of our peers and other users at the park. And, I just want to remind everybody out there in the public that we do have vacancies on our board. If any of the people who are passionate about some of the parks want to participate, I'm the Tom Brady of armchair quarterbacks. I can tell anybody how to do anything. So, but I really felt like they didn't trust us. I really felt like a lack of trust in what we were doing. And, Kent, I go back to your discussion a minute ago about the low-hanging fruit of the master plan and what can we do right now until we have $300,000 to do Strauss Park, and how can we make some small impacts along the way with the large projects. And I just was disappointed, and I feel like a vocal minority made the decision, and I don't think everybody, if we put it to a vote of the entire town, I think there would be a different outcome. And I mean, we did not come to the decision to use those amenities lately. We talked about it in a couple of different meetings, and about how can we do some great things for these parks that are so heavily used. So, I mean, I'm fine with the board's decision at this time, but it was disappointing. So,
Well, I don't think it was a complete no. It was just, they did want more information.
yeah.
No, but I will say this. Beth echoes a sentiment that's kind of a theme. Promotion said the same thing when it came to closing down 6th Street. It's like, we got to trust these committees to make, because they're not sitting on their thumbs, they're really making informed decisions.
Right.
But to that, I will say, if I have to sandwich this, the people from the board were dog owners that spoke up.
Oh,
Right.
And I
go ahead.
do think it could happen eventually, or even just with, park board representation to give a more full
Yeah, maybe it's
presentation
just,
of it.
Yeah, I agree, Ken.
Yeah.
But it's also something that could happen. The money's going to stay with the parks. It's not like it won't get spent. It could be rolled over into next year. So that's.
Yeah, that would be great. This is also why I mentioned during the master plan discussion that I think it's really important that all of us show up for that conversation with the Board of Selectmen and to hear their comments and to hear the public comments. I think maybe they need to see more of us to understand, that we are really working hard to make the right decision for the parks and make them as attractive as possible.
So is the meeting on the 24th a virtual meeting? Okay.
All of
Yes.
them are.
Yeah, they're all virtual.
Will we get an invite then?
I can send you an invite. Yes.
Okay.
yeah, that'd be good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That'd be great.
So,
Well, and I guess just to tag on that, best idea of the master parks plan is how is that tying into the county's new master parks plan of ROMP and things like that to develop greater connectivity between the different towns and to create systems between the towns. I would just sort of like to bring that up, and not to say that's a major issue, but with the county, we should be working to connect everything to create a bigger system of recreation.
right.
Mhm.
Just to give you guys some information, the county is about to undergo a master recreation plan for the whole county, which includes all the municipalities and all the land managers like the Forest Service and History Colorado, all those people. And I definitely think that this board should participate in some of those conversations and just make sure they understand, our vision for the parks, the Georgetown vision for its parks, its connectivity to trails. So Brady makes a great point that we should kind of keep our finger on that pulse in the coming months.
Yeah, I agree, Beth.
So,
Okay. Well, I guess we're going to start pretty soon. I put down Christmas decorations. I wasn't going to cover the tree lighting. Could talk about that next meeting, but our last year of lighting this tree before it gets cut down.
Lights
Yeah.
went up today.
It went up today? Nice.
awesome. Kevin, what do you need? What are we missing?
Mhm.
We could buy more lights if you want
Kevin
Well,
wasn't the one putting up the lights, but
them.
I-
How do you look at a Santa suit?
I think, Rob, I think you'd cover that.
Oops.
Got the belly, baby.
I'm the most unholy thing there is.
Oh, Santa's not holy.
Yeah. It's not religious.
Well,
Yeah.
The lights are going up? Okay.
All in favor
Yeah.
of Rob being Santa, say aye.
Aye, aye, aye.
Tom, you look like a shadow figure there sometimes. So
I'm creeping in the shadow.
when I hear your voice, it's like
I know.
an old TV show. It's the Twilight Zone speaking
Yeah.
from behind the curtain or something.
That pretty much sums it up today.
Yeah. No, Kevin, let us know. I know some people were asking for decoration of the gateway lampposts and stuff like that. And I think we found out last year that we didn't have enough stuff. So, if you are already seeing a shortage of lights, which I think everyone has a shortage of lights except me. So let
That's a
us know.
different standard.
Bet they can see you from the space station.
Yeah, right. So,
And Kevin wasn't involved, but we did in town hall staff, we were looking at some of that already, but of course we started too late. We need to do this once. Is need to purchase now, that's fine. But I mean, as far as replacing some of the old, the best deals are always after the season,
oh
not
yeah,
as the season is approaching.
That's
So
right.
yeah.
So what's
It's
the, what's the night of the tree lighting? Is that the,
it's the Saturday after Thanksgiving, right?
That's right.
for the
And
5th?
did you want to update us, Kent, on that or?
Well, the tree lighting, there's a lot of hesitation, and I just talked with Lynette, the police judge today, and she, with the fire ban, I really don't think, it's going to be a situation where we can have the bonfire. So
Unless we get
normally
some
the,
weather, maybe?
what's that?
Unless we get some weather, some snow, and they lift the ban.
They won't lift it all the way. It would have to snow a lot.
Really?
Kent's
That's
right.
I mean, they might lower it for fire ban level 3 to fire ban level 2,
Yeah.
but that's still pretty high very high for this time of year.
So no fire pit. That's a bummer.
I know. I think that's also coming down from the state administration. They're keeping the fire ban on as well because of the COVID concern, and they're just trying to prevent those large gatherings of people.
Okay.
So,
And that's the other thing with the tree lighting. Lynette was suggesting today, as far as both the COVID and the fire ban, maybe we do it virtual. I don't know how that idea would be
Well,
implemented.
Just don't
It'd be
advertise it, then
safer.
light the tree.
yeah,
And then normally we have some, the kids singing, don't we, at tree lighting?
Right. That's right.
And I don't think I would encourage that this year. I mean,
Right.
the way the governor just issued something today as far as, limiting the gatherings. And if it continues, if it would continue, you never know how this thing's going to go, but it may be either as severe or more severe by the time, what is
Right.
it, 3 weeks and 2 days comes about.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
okay.
we could put our thinking caps on and see if anybody has any
Thinking
ideas for, I don't know what a virtual looks like either. I'm not sold on that yet, but I mean, if you guys have any ideas about ways we might be able to do something creative without a lot of people, please shoot some emails.
But you're still
got
doing
one
the
right
Christmas
now.
market. Right, Ken?
COVID with a cocktail.
The Christmas market's still on.
High octane cocktails
Yes.
with a cocktail. I'm no doctor.
No.
This I know.
Christmas market is still going on. There's a couple things that are going to be different about it. They're not going to hold anything indoors. There's not going to be any events inside the community center. All the stuff will be outdoors. Well, of course, the businesses, and then they'll have to monitor their own as far as how many people are in the business. And then the Strauss Park booths will only be occupied every other booth.
Oh,
And then they are going to have additional booths. And we're looking at adding electrical so we can power different tents between us and Hotel de Paris
oh,
on
that's
this
nice.
end of 6th Street, and
Okay.
have 5 or 6 vendor booths kind of in a semicircle with enough distance in between so we can all go, stay away from me.
Okay.
5 or 6 vendor booths at this end, maybe another booth or 2 at the other end.
Yes.
And then another food truck next to Lucha's, which is already set up. So,
Okay.
and then they're still talking with vendors. So we'll see how it happens if that could work with, the pop-up tents. You know how one weekend's usually great and the other weekend's kind of weather impacted.
Yeah.
as far as Christmas market. And if we would get a really big windstorm, I don't know how those tents would survive, but,
Yeah.
Could we have a preemptive Christmas tree lighting judging ceremony where everyone lit their own trees at the same time and then somebody went around and judged them on the same night?
That's cool.
that's a neat idea.
Yeah.
Beth, you're perfect for that since you know all the details.
Right. Need any help? Let me know. No, I'm kidding.
We're gonna need a scissor jack.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it doesn't have to be that high unless you're in National Lampoons.
We want our scene from the highway.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, it should be filmed from the highway if the whole town lights up.
Yeah. That's
That would
cool.
be cool.
That's a
You
good
know,
idea.
something creative like that, since we can't do it, something in place of, instead of just canceling, would be
Yeah.
neat.
That's a great idea. We need to get a hold of that new special events director that the town's gonna get and see if they can't pull all that together. No pressure.
Yeah. Need to hire the person
No,
first.
but-
We gotta
Yeah.
talk to someone tomorrow, so.
Awesome. Excellent.
All right. All we got left is budget review. Informational.
Yeah, I just,
Hey, Ken, can I ask a quick question? And I asked this of my board mates, my fellow commissioners. I still want to talk about doing the survey of the parks. Just now talking to Mark about the master plan and connecting the footbridge via some sort of pathway to the new park on the southeast side of the lagoon. I think that that survey is kind of a CYA for us as we proceed with our master plan projects. And I mean, if you need, I'm happy to write an RFP and see if we can get a surveyor to give us an estimate of what that would cost to do all the parks. I just want to bring it up again. If you guys have no interest in it, I'm totally fine. And I understand. I just want to protect us a little bit as we endeavor some of these larger projects.
No, I think it's a good idea. If we move forward on that.
I think local volunteer stuff would be equally as important with the smaller projects as some of the larger projects with bigger monetary values.
Mhm.
yeah, I think there needs to be that combination. And that's why I want the list of the smaller things. And then we could identify, come back to the park board here and identify the priority or what, and we can always change. It doesn't have to stay that way, but the priority, and then identify which ones can be done, like you said, Brady, either with minimal cost, you know, if it's an equipment rental or, you know, some other those type of things.
Yeah.
Along with some volunteers. And then, and especially, I know you know different people that could work along, Kevin, just like you guys did the slash cleanup of
Mhm.
Greenway. Those type of things. Identify both tracks. So there's the big project track and there's the small project track,
Agreed. Yep.
or the volunteer project track, almost like a
Yeah.
big, small, little, you know, type thing.
Agreed.
All right.
But the surveys, Beth, we use Evergreen Surveying, and I like using the same surveyor all the time because then you don't have to. We had Greg Markle forever and ever, but you know, he's retired. He
Yeah.
doesn't do that type of stuff.
Yep.
No,
And
I
it's kind
agree.
of moved on to Evergreen, but if we could provide them
Yeah.
a proposal, and it doesn't have to be all the parks, it could be, we do some and then we keep adding to it as far as the survey
Yeah.
of the parks.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm fine. I thought you guys had to go to bid. I was just trying to follow the rules. So,
Well, if we would take it in smaller chunks too, then it could be,
sole source.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
that's fun.
Excellent. Cool.
Anything else?
I'll motion to adjourn.
A second.
I'll
that.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
All right, motion adjourned. Thanks, everyone. I
Thanks,
guess we'll
Thank
everybody.
see
you.
on the 24th.
Okay.
See ya.
Betty.
Adios.
Arrivederci.
I don't know how to get out of here.
I pushed that button. Still in there. There, you almost found it.